Hi, my name is Sydney, and today I'm going to be ranking the 12 ghosts from 13 Ghosts in order of if I think I would survive. This is a movie that I've grown up with on DVD. We all know those iconic, if you know the movie, the iconic special features where it includes a breakdown of each of the ghosts, because the movie itself doesn't really give us that deep of a dive into who the ghosts are, what their backstory is, how they came to be where they are today. So those special features were at the time too, considering DVD sales were such a moneymaker for studios and for films to continue their life after the theater if they necessarily didn't do good in theaters or if they had a limited theater run. And that, special features selection within 13 Ghosts was amazing, and I'm sure it did wonderful for their sales. It felt like a whole separate movie produced almost in its own, like little short films, in its own way. Really, I just love it. And being a kid who would get sort of hyper focused or fixated on certain movies and stuff like that, it just fueled the fire for me. So diving into which ones I think I have a higher chance of surviving if I was in Criticos's house. 12, super easy. We have the Withered Lover. I'm not going to give a breakdown on every single ghost and what their backstory is. I say go find that DVD special features selection on YouTube and just actually watch what the filmmakers produced for people to know about each ghost. I've seen other videos out there where people basically just say what's in that special features, which is fine too, but I don't want to reproduce that. It's so good on its own, so go watch that. But I will introduce who they are. So we have the Withered Lover is Jean Criticos, who's the mom of the family, who is, spoilers, by the way, if that isn't obvious at this point, who's deceased at the beginning of the movie opening credits. And throughout the film, she is very obviously like the only sort of very pure spirit within the home. She's even, helping Bobby, trying to protect him and the family. So I feel like if I was in the house, I would try to connect with her, and I think she would maybe even help me. So she's like the shining light in that house. Survival score is 10 out of 10. If it was just me and her in that home, we'd be chilling. Number 11, I'm going to say, is the Bound Woman. Susan LeGros, the character, we really don't get a ton of her visually throughout the film. And her story, I think ultimately she's a victim, obviously. I mean, there's quite a few in here who are. But I think as a woman and as someone who maybe empathizes with her ghost, I feel like I could just give her space, let her feel her feelings. Then I feel like I would be in the clear, kind of. I'm going to give the survival score like a 9.5 out of 10. I feel pretty confident, especially too, she's kind of immobile, you know what I mean? She's bound. So who knows what she could throw out there, but I feel pretty safe. Number 10 on my list is going to be the Pilgrimess. So we have Isabella Smith. I think my empathy for this character is much higher than the Bound Woman, as far as just being, persecuted, very much a victim, being accused of witchcraft and then surviving the fire and then just being basically tortured to death. I do feel like though there is that risk of myself being not, I don't know. You don't know. She has so much trauma from her whole community turning against her that she could just be, I'm overanalyzing this, but I don't know, she could just have a vendetta against all people because of all the trauma that she endured. So even empathy she might just be too triggered for any sort of contact, but she is sort of kept within her confinement a little bit. I like to convince myself that I'm no, I can reach out to her and tell her I'm sorry for her and whatever. I don't know though. Let's be real. She could just still try to kill me. So I'm going to give the Pilgrimess a survival score of 8 out of 10. Number 9 is the Dire Mother. She is Margaret Shelburne, and she is the little person who is in the freak show traveling act. And the freaks, as like I'm not calling them freaks, but you know what I mean, as that they're called within that community, and that's how they refer to them within the movie, all that, basically just like smothered her and attacked her and did bad things to her. Again, you know, these ones, I mean, some of this order of how I'm going through it is shining light. Some of these are pretty obvious, but with little differences. Why she is a little bit higher up on the list to me, though, is, and now, again, too, same with her and her son coming up later, is they're not shown a ton in the film. So, you know, they don't seem to be active, like, violence perpetrators to people in the glass house. But I feel like she has more at stake to protect having a son. I think it's one thing when, you know, you're just out there for vengeance for yourself, but since her son, you know, got tied and wrapped into this and now they're stuck together, I feel like there's, you know, a mother's love is powerful. I feel like you don't know what's up her sleeve. If you go into that house and you feel like if she perceives me as like a threat or something like that to her situation with her son, I don't know. I feel like she could bring out the fury compared to the other women that I've listed so far. Yeah, a mother's love, intense. I don't know what she could do. But overall, I'd say still, like, I don't think I would present that much of a threat, though. I don't know. I'm going to say survival rating 8 out of 10. Number 8 is the torso. Jimmy Gambino, the gambler who didn't play the game right and swam with the fishes, you know, got cut up a bunch. He is ranked pretty, yeah, I feel like I could have actually put him earlier. He was one that I was kind of debating on simply because his mobility makes him less of a threat in some ways. Again, personally, I don't feel like I'm much of a threat to him. I don't feel like I would particularly be a trigger for him to want to like enact rage upon. But he's disturbing for sure. He's like a scary dude to perceive, and to witness him would be like, I mean, any of them, but I feel like him especially is very like graphic looking. But I mean, considering he doesn't have a head, he can't run, I feel like there's limitations there where I would be like pretty okay. So with that, again, I'm going to say survival score 8 out of 10. Number 7 is the firstborn son. So Billy Michaels is the kid who has the arrow through the forehead. Yeah, my thoughts on him are fairly neutral, but more just so of like, kids can be impulsive and kind of unpredictable, and I don't really know what his demeanor is. He looks very like not happy obviously as a ghost. I don't know that he has, again, any personal rage that would make him want to be violent, other than if he was trying to play with you and obviously doesn't know how to have boundaries when it comes to that. Not that he shot himself, but if he thought it was a good idea at all. I don't remember actually if he was like, yeah, let's play with this, or if his friend just was an a-hole who was like, I'm gonna shoot him with this because I'm dumb. But either way, you know, he has a weapon, so that makes him more of a threat because he doesn't have to run up on you. He can just like stand in his little corner and shoot you. He might even think he's being playful and he could just get you. So with that, there's a little bit of uncertainty of like, I don't know what this kid's gonna do. So with that, I'm gonna say survival score is like 6.5 out of 10. No direct violence, I don't feel, but there's an unpredictability it makes me nervous. Number 6 is the torn prince, which growing up always confused me because I would think the torn prince is the torso because he's like torn up, but that's not what that is. The torn prince is the sort of James Dean type character. Royce Clayton died in a drag race. It's all very James Dean. I don't know. It's fine. I guess it happened, but you know, like James Dean wasn't the only one to die in a drag race, so like that's fine, but it's very James Dean. But being a baseball star, he has a bat, so he's got a weapon. He's lower on the list because I don't know what I would be doing to necessarily, again, and I mean, it comes down to opinion, and maybe I'm forgetting. Honestly, I didn't watch this movie recently. I've seen it probably like 25 times at least over the past 20 something years. Maybe 20 something years. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I guess I don't remember necessarily if they just want to kill because they're dead and they're trapped in this house and they, resent the living and whatever. But if I just look at him individually coexisting in a space, I'm like, I don't see why he'd want to attack me. But here's the thing, if he did, it would be bad. So for that, survival score is 6 out of 10. Number 5 is the Great Child, tying back into the Dire Mother. So the Great Child is freak shows, mom's big baby boy. His name's Harold. After his mom was killed, then he went crazy, started killing all the freaks. He's so big, he's so strong, he's very powerful. And from what I understand, before his mother's death, he was like chilling. He wasn't a threat to anybody. He was just living his life. Dysfunctional, toxic, probably unhealthy relationship with his mother. Very close, spoiled. There's some mental instability there. But from what I remember, prior to his mother's death, he was okay. But now that he's undead and he's with his mom, I can see that his protective senses would be here. So I feel like if you leave his mother alone, just leave them alone, you'd probably be fine. But because of the sort of like mental instability that's there, he could perceive anything as a threat. Like, let's say you turn a corner and Dire Mother's just there and you're like, oh, sorry. I mean, I don't know if that would happen because it's glass walls anyways, but not like all of it, whatever. You bump into her, he could be like, oh, you're dead. I don't know. There's room there for him to rationalize you being a threat. Again, that relationship of mother and son and the protective bond, they're the only two that really have someone in there. So I feel like there's more to lose. So he would be hella scary if he started coming after you. I'm going to say survival score is 5 out of 10. There's a chance there would be no confrontation, but if there was, it would be scary. Number 4 is the Angry Princess. She is the one who gets the most screen time for obvious reasons as far as the women go, and maybe all the ghosts actually. She seems to have a target for women from what we can tell from the film. I super empathize for her character. I think that she is a victim, even though what she did was to herself. I think that she's, I feel really bad for her story. Her mental health was so bad that she, like, it's brutal. Like, I know she's like, ooh, I'm the naked lady, but like, it's really brutal what she did to herself, and like super sad. But like, being a lady in her space, she seems to be still maybe insecure in the afterlife, that I feel like any woman in her presence might be probably a target. There is also a sense though of lingering, like that bathroom scene that's sort of drawn out. She's like looking in the mirror and she's observing. I feel like her presence is violent, but it's also, I don't know, it's like predatorial, but it's also sort of not overtly, like, let's compare her and Jackal. You know what I mean? Jackal's like, I'm here, gotcha, but she's kind of more in the space, you know what I mean? So I feel like with that, there's maybe some advantages. I don't know. I feel like we'd collide in that house, but I feel like with not just a knife, but like there's the way she stalks and preys gives a little bit more of an advantage than some of the other figures. So with that, survival score is 4 out of 10. It would be trouble. Number 3 is the hammer. We got George Markley, I think. He's the blacksmith. He has all the nails in him. His hand has been replaced by a hammer. He is hella strong. He is a walking weapon with his hand, his body. Particularly the way that he was killed too, was so brutal, violent. Maybe like the worst death, I think, out of all of them. I'm gonna say that. I'm kind of doing a quick rundown in my head, but I'm pretty sure his was the worst death. And for that alone, he's got a lot to be mad about. And I think my particular demographic of person that I am would not be a welcoming sight potentially. Has a lot to be mad about, and then I just stroll in and I'm like, I don't know. Survival score is 2 out of 10. Pretty much I'm dead. Number 2 is the Jackal. He is a fan favorite. The people love him. His visual design. I mean, all of these ghosts, the detail is just incredible. But he is one that gets a little bit more screen time compared to some of the other ones, and he's a good one. So Ryan Kuhn, I don't remember. He targeted women before he went into the asylum. So again, doesn't help my case. And again, even these ones like the Jackal that are just like, they're really violent and they are evil, I still even have that bit of empathy for them, because he died because he was like, yeah, I shouldn't be alive anymore, I'm bad. Like, he turned himself into the asylum, if I remember correct, and when the asylum was burning down, he was just like, I'm out, this is my time. So doesn't make him good or excusable, obviously, but there's that little bit of like, oh yeah, dude, you're just messed up, huh? He is freaking quick. He is like a wild animal. He's super unhinged, and he's the one who'd probably like jump scare me the most. Yeah, I mean, his weaponry would be, I mean, he's got those long nails. He's a biter, but he's got the cage around his head, so that helps. Yeah, it would be bad. Survival score 0.5 out of 10. I'm dead. Unless what's her face comes in with a flare and I'm rescued. But if I'm just in there, I'm dead. Number 1, if you've counted them through, is the Juggernaut. Horace Mahoney. This dude, when he was alive, was literally ripping people apart with his bare hands. Just gigantor. He just seems to like killing people. He's very aggressive. I think if he spots you, he's just gonna want to kill you, is the vibe that I'm getting. I mean, similar honestly to the Hammer maybe, but the Juggernaut is just on a different level as far as scale, and just, I feel like he's just gonna like walk up to you and grab you and, bend you in half. He's just someone you do not want to cross paths with, and I would break easily. I would just be screwed. So I think, because as far as like anybody, I feel like it would be kind of like the Juggernaut, the Hammer, maybe the Jackal. But if we're talking about like me surviving, I think yeah, probably the Juggernaut, and then the Jackal, and then the Hammer. We all know those 3 are the big boys. We all know that they're the ones to be, real afraid of. But I still think, even though that the Jackal targets women, I still think the Juggernaut is just so strong and got that death look about him that, yeah, a lot of these I would just be dead no matter what. But I'm calling him number 1. Survival score is dead. It's going to be 0. So that is my ranking on how quickly I would be toast. Some, I think I'd have a chance of just like giving them space, like, nothing to see here, and maybe I'd get through okay. But I would die. Let me know which ghost you think you have a higher chance of surviving, or even better, which one. What do you think of my top ranking? Do you think that that's pretty accurate as far as survival scale? Which one do you think would target you the most? Let me know. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Oh wait, he's not one of the counted ghosts, but I gotta take a second for Matthew Lillard. Dennis Rafkin, that's correct. Okay, I just had to double check. Dennis is not one of the ghosts, but like, I just love Matthew Lillard so much that I just had to mention him in some way. But I would leech onto his ghost if he was still present in that house, and I would be like, help me. And maybe that would give me a little superpower to change my odds a little bit. The goat. That's it. Okay, bye.